So, one of the witnesses in the Nipsey Hussle shooting refuses to testify in court against Eric Holder, the shooter, and now has a $500,000 bench warrant out on his head issued by the judge because he refuses to testify in court. Let's talk about it. Yo, what's good, YouTube? It's Rashad Crenshaw back again with another video. Now, one of the key witnesses in the Nipsey Hussle shooting, Evan Rimpal McKenzie, is a man who served as a pallbearer at the Victory Lap artist's funeral. He apparently doesn't want to testify for the prosecution, who was fighting to get legal justice for his friend. McKenzie, who was also standing next to Nipsey Hussle when he was shot, has continuously ignored subpoenas to come to court for this case, and authorities believe he doesn't want to be viewed as a rat by his colleagues in the street. So apparently all of these guys are street dudes. Obviously Nipsey was a street dude, Rolling 60s Crip. The guys he kept company with were Rolling 60s Crips and gang members. The man who unfortunately took his life was also a gang member. And it's interesting enough that his friend refuses to snitch, basically, to testify in court. And it's interesting because apparently Nipsey called Eric Holder a snitch, and Eric Holder flipped out, came back to Nipsey's store and shot and killed Nipsey. So clearly these guys don't want to be caught up in the label of snitch. Eric Holder's attorney, Aaron Jansen, asked if McKenzie had a reluctancy to testify. Los Angeles Police Detective Cedric Washington, who did testify, said he believed that to be true. Another person who was reluctant to testify is Kerry Lathan, who was wounded in the shooting. Lathan, who took to the stand last week, refused to even identify himself and Holder as the shooter on surveillance footage played in the court for jurors. Lathan said, "I don't know nothing, didn't see nothing." Deputy District Attorney John McKinney asked, "You don't want to testify about what happened?" "That's right," Lathan answered. Jansen asked the detective, "Typically in gang cases, there is a reluctance to testify." "I wouldn't limit it to gang cases," Washington continued. Now, that's interesting that he said, "I wouldn't limit it to gang cases." Why did he say, "I wouldn't limit it to gang cases"? This is a cultural thing. It goes beyond this street code. It goes beyond street code. A lot of these people in these communities are terrified of retribution in the event that they cooperate with law enforcement. Some people have a cultural aversion to snitching. They refuse to tell because they feel like it would be a stain against their honor to tell the police about a murderer taking lives in the community. It's absolutely insane for me to wrap my mind around this, but it's absolutely sad to see that in a situation such as this, these guys are still holding on to this street stuff after it took Nipsey's life in such a manner. There comes a point when you become grown enough to understand that this situation is bigger than the streets. This is a father. Nipsey Hussle was a father. He was a philanthropist. He invested heavily in the community of Crenshaw and Slauson. This guy was a hero to that community. When you refuse to testify against this guy, you are basically, in a way, spitting in the face of the community that's mourning Nipsey Hussle and wants to see justice, unfortunately. And although law enforcement does in fact have video evidence proving that Eric Holder is in fact the shooter, they still need witnesses that were at the scene to say that is in fact Eric Holder. They can have all the video that they want, but without certain things that can properly identify him, they can't say for 100% fact without a reasonable doubt that that's Eric Holder. Unlike the King Von situation, where the shooter, Lil Tim, had worn the same jacket that he wore at the shooting. He wore that jacket in a prior music video shoot, so it was undeniable that it was Lil Tim who shot Von. Instead, what we see here is Eric Holder is not completely 100%. That's for a fact him. They need verification of other people at the scene to say this is the shooter. And the people who were there absolutely refused to cooperate. And it's absolutely shocking to see because this is a time for cooperation. This is a time for justice. Nipsey Hussle's family is in attendance at court, I would imagine. They're there to see what's going to happen to this guy. They're there to see if justice will be delivered. And it's got to be painful for them to see these grown men come to court and literally sit there and say, I'm not going to cooperate and help this man's family get justice. Because at the end of the day, none of these guys are going to break into the jail and kill Eric Holder. None of the people in the jail have laid a hand on Eric Holder. Not a security guard, a warden, a CO, a rival gang member. No one in jail has laid a hand on Eric Holder. So it becomes clear that the only way this man can have justice served to him is through the justice system. And unfortunately, the only people who can truly help the justice system deliver justice don't want to help. It's hard to wrap my mind around. One reason, which ironically is the same reason Nipsey, they're even saying it, is the concept of snitching. Many witnesses are not cooperating on the stand when giving their testimony, and some have not shown up. So it's sad to watch. It's sad to watch because it gets to a point where this is becoming embarrassing for our culture. I don't give a shit about whether I'm from the streets or not. I don't give a damn. This is embarrassing. Y'all can say whatever y'all want to say. This is embarrassing for us as a community. That someone as prolific and as influential and as philanthropic as Nipsey Hussle could die the way that he died, multiple gunshot wounds. They said that if he had survived, that he would have been paraplegic. The way that this man did Nipsey, and then the audacity to kick this man in the head after you have completely rendered him dead. He can't even function. You've shot him in so many different places that even if he were to survive, he wouldn't be able to function. You violated this man's life by shooting him multiple times. You kick him in the head. At some point in time, the people that were there to witness this event, the people that saw this happen, have to be able to sit there and say, you know what? Regardless of what gang affiliations we got going on, we got to get this dude up out of here. It becomes bigger than the gangs. And I believe that Nipsey Hussle to an extent understood this because he was willing to invest in the community as a whole. I don't doubt for one second that there were people in the community that Nipsey didn't like and people in the community that didn't like Nipsey. As we can clearly see, Nipsey lost his life to one of those people who unfortunately decided to murder him. So with that being said, with that being established, it's becoming embarrassing to watch, and I'm glad that this bench warrant was issued at such a high amount because we need to see this and gasp in shock at the fact that someone like this could die, and we as an ethnic group, as Black Americans, can walk all around this country wearing Crenshaw shirts and Crenshaw hoodies and Crenshaw hats and Crenshaw. Y'all walk around wearing this man's merch. You walk around wearing Marathon clothing. Y'all walk around basically making this man immortal. It's amazing to watch, but when it comes time to get justice for this man as an individual, now all of a sudden, justice can't be served because people don't want to be considered snitches. You are not a snitch if you did not participate in the crime. Point blank, period. The definition of snitching has become so diluted to the point where it's hilarious to watch. If you did not participate in the crime with another guy, if you two didn't click up and link up and commit a crime, you're not snitching on that person. You have to participate in the crime with the individual. You have to be connected to this individual in crime committing activity to be a snitch. If you do not know the person, you've never participated in a crime with that person, you are not a snitch. Point blank, period. The reason why simply testifying against someone who killed someone you know is considered snitching is because these gangs needed to be able to control the community. They needed to be able to grip the community with a vice grip, a lock on the community's throat. What better way to do that than to convince them that even speaking on what happened is snitching? Despite the fact that every other organized crime group understands that in order to be a snitch, you have to have participated. You have to have been a member of the group. Snitch implies that you are a backstabber, a traitor. There's tattletale, there's telling, and then there's full-on snitching. Snitching implies that you are a turncoat, a traitor. You are not betraying Eric Holder by testifying that you, in fact, saw Eric Holder shoot and kill your friend. and render him paraplegic and basically killing him. He did die. He literally got killed. That is not snitching because you decide that you're going to go up there and testify. That's not snitching. This is insane to watch because we just spent as a culture the last we spent the last 4 to 5 years since Nipsey's death immortalizing the man, making him basically a hero. Like I said before, I've seen so many people walking around wearing Crenshaw shirts, marathon shirts. The marathon continues. I've heard people bumping Nipsey songs all day long. Will the community come out and plead with these guys who witnessed the shooting to please cooperate? Because the way I read about how this man did Nipsey, and it's disgusting. It would suck to watch this guy not get the full punishment he deserves because the people who witnessed this barbaric killing decide not to say anything. Man, the way this man did Nipsey is unbelievable. Had Nipsey survived, he would have been a vegetable. Y'all are willing to testify against someone who did your homie that bad? He's never coming home. So this is as good as you're gonna get him. It's insane to me that this is happening, but that's the current state of the culture. That is the current embarrassing state of the culture. It's sad to watch. Y'all dive into the comment section, comment, like, subscribe. I'll holler at y'all later.